Hi, and welcome back to a podcast above a convenience store, Talking Twin Peaks, where each week me and Paul Muad'Dib from Cast That Movie, I'm Joe Fremming from the Joe Down. Say hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Each week we discuss a couple episodes of Twin Peaks. This week we are on season 2, episodes 8 and 9, or as I like to call it, how the season should have ended.
Yeah.
We'll get into it, but episode 9, written by Mark Frost. The Frost brothers are kind of like double teaming these two episodes before they kind of walk away from the project. Lynch has walked away, but the two episodes, Drive with a Dead Girl and Arbitrary Law, when I was watching Arbitrary Law, I was like, this would have been just good to end it here. Like,
Yep. Yep. Although I will say, it's frustrating to me even after all these years watching these episodes, because there were glimpses, I think, of like what they could have done had they done it right instead of doing what they did, if that makes sense at all.
And by they, we mean studio fuckery.
Yes.
This stuff, Lynch and Frost split on the actual reveal, but the way it went about eventually let both of them just kind of like wash their hands of it. Like, we're done. Like, we don't like this. We don't like where this is going. They saw the writing on the wall. So yeah, they brought up a lot of cool elements that they just had to force to either end early or blow out comically, in that it's sad and it makes me laugh cry and not ha comically with these characters.
Yes. So what in watching these two episodes, and again, it's just been miraculous the way that this podcast has been coming together, that we're watching episodes together that should be watched together, right? Because again, to me, this is really one long episode. There were things that they could have done at the end of this that I think that had they gone, had the screenwriters and the showrunners that stayed behind had gone with, there could have been something good about the second season. And instead they dropped all these things and focused on what they focused on, which was the goofy bullshit.
This, like I said, this feels like this is like the logical end of the second season. If the season would have ended right here, these last two episodes, it would probably be up. Not as, I wouldn't have liked it as much as the first season, but I wouldn't be dreading having to watch it when I do watch Twin Peaks. But it continues after this, and it's, dear God.
Yeah, and I think at the end of these two episodes, I think we can kind of discuss, and I think we should discuss what we would like to have seen them do, knowing what we know now. Because at the end of it, again, I found myself, and maybe this is the Cast That Movie side of me, but going, if they had written it in this way and gone with these storylines, season 2 could have been actually decent.
Or how about this? Even instead of teasing out Wyndham Earle, just have him come in hot.
Well,
like, this is the antagonist now, but they had no idea what they were doing, and we'll get into that.
Yeah, and and I will say, I think there was a way they could have done that, and so yeah, let's dig in, and then let's get to what we think they could have fixed it, and then we should really preface what's coming up in these next couple of podcasts for us, because it's a shit show.
Yeah, so we start with episode 8, Drive with a Dead Girl. I actually do love this title because it's really on the nose. Because I just wanted to, we'll get into it, but man, Ray Wise hamming it up as Bob Leland
is amazing. Is amazing.
Like, goddamn, like, So it starts off. It's like the later hours. I believe at this point, 24 hours have passed
Close
since.
to it. Yeah.
So at the Palmer house, where Leland's now putting golf balls and chipping some too.
Yep.
In his living room.
In his living room.
And a knock on the door, and it's James and Donna. They want to say goodbye to Maddie. And Leland's like, I just dropped her off at the bus station not more than like 20 minutes ago. But she was really disappointed you guys didn't stop by last night and say goodbye.
Just say goodbye to her.
So Bob is really just salting the wounds with this.
Yeah, he's just totally putting it in on them and just making them feel like assholes, and it's great.
Because they are.
Yeah.
We've made it apparent.
We do not like Donna and James.
No, they are not our favorite characters.
And, I love that. He's like, oh, no, she was expecting you last night.
Yeah, well, he was killing her.
Well, he's killing her.
Yeah, you guys could have literally saved Maddie's life, but, man, you guys had to be mopey at the Roadhouse,
The Roadhouse, yep.
Hanging out at a bar when you're 18.
Hanging out at your bar at 18, being fucking jackasses. Fucking dumbasses.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he tells them that they can write, but you could write to her. She'd probably really like that. And then he goes and adjusts his tie, and, they do the throwback that he's still Bob, like Bob's still in full control.
Yeah. They overuse this effect now in these two episodes a bit for me. It's just like, we know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to keep the reflection scary. It works best in small doses, not right away at the beginning of nobody's watching this episode without seeing the reveal episode before we all know where Bob is.
Yep. And then he goes and packs his clubs in the golf bag, and the body of Maddie's still in there.
Yeah, which I'd imagine would probably be pretty smelly.
It would start to smell, I would think, at that point. Yeah.
And she probably shit herself after dying.
You usually shit yourself. They mentioned that earlier.
Piss, yeah.
Yep, piss and shit.
So not only does his house smell, his golf clubs are stinky now, too.
He ruined his clubs. He ruined those expensive
ones he wants to show off Cooper really well.
Yeah, right. And then, so this was something that was interesting to me. It felt like a different show in the way that it was directed and filmed, because you have the convertible. Everything to this point has been very like 50s-ish. And there's not a lot of driving scenes in terms of like watching vehicles and things like this. Did you get that impression too when he's kind of like just kind of the whole vibe of this episode is like feels completely different than everything we've seen up to this point?
I agree with that. I'll give it credit though. At least it's not people trying to ape the Lynch style, which we see a lot of with the guest directors. This one was directed by Caleb DeChannel. I believe that's the father of what's the Manic Pixie Dream Girl, whatever, Zoe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they do something different. I like that. Plus, I really like Leland's erratic driving later on because he's too busy singing.
Yeah. So this is the one thing that I'm going to disagree with you on, since we're kind of getting to some of these things here, is that Leland Bob is obviously hamming it. I mean, Ray Wise is amazing as this, but it took away from some of the menace that Bob was watching the goofy way that he behaves as he's controlling Leland. That's the one thing. Like, it took away some of the the sinister ideals of what Bob was. Does that make sense a little?
A bit, but he's been acting like this since the first season. We're just I think we're analyzing it now that it's revealed that Bob is there, but Leland's been dancing around, acting like a goofball since his fucking daughter died.
Absolutely. No,
So,
100%.
But I think it does, like, him going back to kind of doing that takes away the menace of Bob. But Bob's just trying to have fun. Why are you trying to take Bob's fun away from him?
Bob just wants to have fun. Oh, Bob just wants to have fun.
Bob wants to get caught. This is my theory with why he's acting like this, why he's putting himself in situations where it is inevitable that he gets caught. I think he wants out of Leland's body.
I think you're absolutely right. I think you've nailed it.
Leland's old now. His hair's. Mm-hmm. We'll see in the return. Hosts end up looking like Bob in certain ways. You see that with Doppelkoop in the return.
Yes.
So the longer I think he's in control, the more the host's body adapts and starts turning into him.
I think there's part of that, and I do think, as you see with like because we're going to talk about Mike, that the longer that these, especially these the Black Lodge spirits or entities inhabit someone, the more damaged, the more parasitic the relationship is. And also, we know that Bob wanted out of Leland because he wanted to be in Laura.
Yeah, that's in Fire Walk with Me, and he wanted to inhabit a new host. Again, Leland's getting old.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just like, since time isn't linear in the Black Lodge, I guess it's conjecture if he knows eventually Cooper will be his next host. We don't know if he knows that. We don't know what these entities know.
Yes.
How far ahead they can see within this, because it just, I mean, Cooper saw 25 years into his future. So,
mm-hmm.
We don't know how far along they know what's going to happen. But I think Bob has a inkling that Cooper is his next now.
Yes. I think now that he can't have Laura, yes, I think he knows that he's going to have Cooper. So
that's why he uses Wyndham Earl.
Yep. So next, coming up next, moving on, we got to Ben and Jerry in the jail. Ben's brushing his teeth and he's being super germophobic. I noticed that. He's always wiping shit down in the jail cell. Jerry comes in, konnichiwa. I fucking love Jerry. And
he's just not the best lawyer, I'd imagine.
No, we find out that he's definitely not the best lawyer in the next episode. And, he's asked him about if he killed Laura. And, he doesn't necessarily believe that Ben didn't kill Laura either. He's like, I don't want to know the truth. And, but Ben says he was with Catherine that night.
Yeah.
And then the weirdness kicks in again where they talk about Louise Dombrowski. I had to write that down. Dancing in their room because there was bunk beds in the jail. The bunk beds reminded them, and they both have a flashback to being kids and watching this girl spotlight dance for them when they were like super little. It was creepy.
Yeah, and it's a hint of the bullshittery we're going to be getting after these two episodes. These little asides that don't add anything to the story. Mm-hmm. It's just doing some weird shit for the sake of doing weird shit because that's Twin Peaks now. Yes. And I hated this scene. I hated that little weird flashback. It gave me flashbacks of Ben dressed like a Confederate general. So,
Yeah. It was like, oh God, it starts here. It really starts here. Yeah. And then Lucy's sister Gwen was also awful.
Yeah, and this is just like back to back, and it's Lucy's sister. It's just like I'm at this point where we've said it before. We love Andy and Lucy, and this season did them wrong. And you can know they did it wrong when I just want them off the screen as soon as they pop on.
Yeah, they really fucked up on it.
I'm like, I don't give a shit about these characters anymore. I don't want to hear about Dick Tremaine. I don't.
It's rough. So I'm gonna skip that, and we're gonna go to Cooper and making a note about the one-armed man as Leland is dancing around the lobby with his golf club.
Yeah.
And Harry has to tell him that they arrested Ben for the murder of his daughter.
Yeah. Cooper seems suspicious, though, a little bit. He seems a little weary of Leland. Throughout these next two episodes, there's just something not right to Cooper now with Leland.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of take it like he follows Leland because Leland, he goes off like he's depressed and you kind of hear him crying, but he's actually laughing. And then he has to like compose himself because he almost gets caught by Cooper. Again, I think Bob, he wants out.
Yes. And I will say that scene particularly where Leland Ray Rise goes off to the corner and he starts crying and then starts laughing, and his face is beaded with sweat and tears, and Cooper's like, something's not right here, and comes around and talks to him. Ray Wise is so fucking good as an actor.
Yeah.
And there's that menace, there's that creepiness that could be done. So, again, it comes down to the writing of Leland, of Ray Rise hamming it up. But my God,
I think it's also the direction because in Fire Walk with Me, when Bob's in control, it's menacing. There is no hamming it up. It's like
yes.
Like that scene where he just glares out the window as he sees Laura jumping on James's motorcycle. That's whoa. Bob happy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think the writing and the direction had a lot to do with this. And I think it makes sense. I think you're absolutely right. It makes sense that Bob wants to get captured. So then we cut to what? Freaking
they're doing the blood test.
The blood test, yes.
Ben, we get Jerry's like acting as the attorney. Cooper pretty much like, yeah, you couldn't pass the bar until like what is your third or fourth try. You're not allowed to practice law in a series of states.
You graduated last of your class of 143. Yes.
Gonzaga University.
Yep. And he shows the page to Ben.
I'm gonna show the world who Ben Horne really is.
Yep. So they got Ben for motive, big time.
Yeah, and Ben's not liking being spoken to like this. He flips out on Cooper. Jerry's basically he's like, yeah, I strongly suggest you get a better lawyer.
Yes. As your lawyer, I suggest you get a better lawyer.
He also says because Ben's blood might be on Laura's finger, may have Laura's fingerprints on it.
Yep.
Which is a cool line. I like that line.
Yeah, it was a cool quote. It was weird, but it was a cool quote because they're doing the blood test to find out if it was Ben. So then we cut to fucking Bobby. Now this could have been cool too, because Bobby's now, he's got Leo. We find out that Leo had taped conversations with him and Ben when it came to the mill fire.
Yep, and this is a cool thread they could have followed.
Mm-hmm.
Because granted, it's the worst business deal in television history, but at least this gives Bobby a potential edge up on Ben Horne.
Yep.
These two episodes are like pretty much like the downfall of Ben Horne, and he rises from the ashes as a Confederate general somehow.
It's it's terrible. It's terrible as terrible. One would say. Terrible.
I mean, in Charles Barkley. That's terrible.
It's terrible. So but no, it's a cool thread. So he makes the copy, and then Shelley comes in, and because Leo threw his food, and he starts licking it off of her.
Yeah, I almost vomited at that point.
Yeah,
that was gross.
It's weird. And then Norma's mom shows up.
Yeah, she see him once. She's reviewing the food as she talks in restaurants. It's no secret.
Yep.
Nobody
Yep.
cares.
Nobody cares. She's married to Ernie, the Professor Niles. Nobody gives a shit.
Ernie, the degenerate gambler.
Yep. Yep. Went to jail with Hank. Okay, we're done there. Then Gerard.
He's not doing well. He's
Oh,
at the
Mike
Great
is.
Northern, and he needs to get away, and he clubs a cop to get away. It's a lot. When Mike and Bob are close by, it seems to give them both negative effects.
Yes.
And Laura, I think Laura. Well, I think it's in the next episode. I forget, but Laura's diary said there's only one person Bob is afraid of, and that's Mike.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. Yes. Yes, it is in the next episode. I believe it's the next episode. Yes. So, yep, he clubs a cop, but he does say he's sorry, and then runs out.
Yeah, he apologized for bludgeoning a cop, but it's all right.
Yep. So then we come back to the diner, and Hank, who's been captured by, is it Jean Reno? Jean Reno?
Was he captured? I mean, who cares at this
point? Who cares? Yeah, so anyways, and then they agree to
late for work. He should have been fired. Norma even says so. She should have just done it.
Yep.
God. And Hank realizes he was in jail with Ernie. He recognizes him.
Yes. It's stupid. Okay. Then we
get to jail now with Pete.
With Pete, it's a pileated woodpecker.
Yes. Pete's not there to talk just birds with Harry, although I'd probably watch an hour of that just because I love Jack Nance that much, and he would probably make that more interesting than the episodes that are to come.
Yes.
He's talking about Josie's gone, and Harry's like, yeah, she sold the mill to Ben Horn, and Pete goes, well, not exactly.
Not exactly.
And it's kind of like a weird thing until you see why he was there. He ends up going in the jail cell to play a message to Ben from Catherine.
Yes.
So basically, Catherine's going to blackmail Ben into signing over Ghostwood and the mill to her for her testimony that of the night Laura died, she was with him.
Yes. Yep. And
and Pete's having way too much fun playing this. And like part of me like, yeah, I like this, Pete, but then I'm like, Pete, you're the cuck here, man. Like
that's exactly what I thought. Yes.
Maybe this is his revenge, like, sleep with my wife, will you, asshole? And then she's like, talking about how she's sleeping with him.
Yeah, it was weird,
so, like,
right?
It flies back at poor Pete.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I felt the same way. That's exactly where my head was at. Was Pete, was like, dude, Pete, you shouldn't really be enjoying this right now.
Yeah, but he is. We'll give it to him. He doesn't seem like he has a lot of wins in his life.
Right. Right.
So I'll give it to him. Give it to the poor son of a bitch.
Yeah. Yes. So give it. Yeah, I agree with that. And then Ben's furious. And then we get to Leland driving and singing and swerving.
Now I have a question here because he's singing a song when he's driving. When Cooper's in the Harry's truck, he's whistling a song that kind of sounds like it.
It's the same song.
It's the same song. That's what I thought. I didn't want to think I was crazy, but
no, it's the same song. When I watch these, I have the subtitles on.
Yeah.
And and actually when it cuts to him, it's whistling and it has the name of the same song.
Yeah, so this is kind of it shows there is a connection here with Cooper and
Bob.
The Lodges, the Bob, yeah.
Yep, that's how I took it.
It's a subtle one though. I give it that. Like I don't think I've ever noticed that before this episode. Before we watched it for this podcast.
I hadn't either. And you're absolutely right. Yes, it is.
I'm glad we both caught it this time too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I thought it was interesting as well because I was like, oh, it is the same song. Okay. Yeah, it was absolutely the same song. Yep. So he's all over the fucking place, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if he hit anybody before he got caught, pulled over by Harry and Coop, because I could see it.
I could see it, and who knows? Maybe he did and threw the fucking body off to the side. Jesus, fuck. So, he
Bob's
almost
just having a good time, Paul. I mean, why? Who are we to judge Bob's good time?
swerving all over the place, singing oldies songs from the 18 fucking hundreds. Bob
looks like a man who enjoys show tunes.
Yeah, I'm sure Bob enjoys show tunes. Oh fuck! Don't most serial killers. So
not. I mean, Bob certainly looks like he'd enjoy Steppenwolf more, like some weird '60s dirty rock and roll. But no, he's singing show tunes.
Yeah, on top of a fringe or something, Surrey on top on with a fringe on top. Yeah. So, they pull him over, and he's I must have been thinking about Ben, and it's crazy shit. And then he goes, by the way, I heard Ben take a phone call. He mentioned something about a dairy, and Kruber's like, you mean a diary? That could have been it. And
he's setting Ben up or something, which that means he would have had to have planned it the night Laura died. And I mean, they don't even show that in Fire Walk with Me. Like the night Laura died, Leland was home.
So. Leland was home the night Laura died, and the thing is, they kind of retcon some things here because they will bring up the fact that there was a phone call made, and it must have been Leland that made the phone call, and it doesn't really work. And in a way too, like, this writing bothered me because Leland himself, not just Bob, but Leland knew about Laura's diary, and there's just the writing here is not great on this part, and it comes from the rush of they had to do this.
Yep. Yeah, they had to, and now they have to kind of circle back and try to put instead of letting the pieces fall naturally, they had to like jump ahead and then place the pieces while they're walking it back, sort of thing.
Yes, exactly.
But and so we also get this scene where it looks like Leland's gonna club Cooper with.
Oh yeah.
But it doesn't come off as menacing; it comes off as hilarious.
Yeah, it does. Because it's like, wow, he was gonna club Cooper right there in front of Harry. What the fuck?
No, that's when I wrote my note. Like, Bob wants to get caught. Like, he would like club an FBI man just so he can go kill himself or leave this mortal coil and a new host.
So then we get more of Gwen, Andy, and Lucy, and it's stupid. Moving on.
They found Gerard near the waterfall.
And they take Gerard to meet Ben. And he's like, he's close, but he's not here.
Well, what he says is he has been very close.
He has been very close. Yes.
That means he's not there. Jerry makes a scene.
Mm-hmm.
And he's such a terrible lawyer in that he lets his emotions get the best of him, and he just talks at the top of his head, which forces Harry's hand to charge. Ben, all the evidence points at him.
Yep.
All signs point to Ben. Like Jerry, and even Ben's like, oh, God damn it, Jerry.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. So, and Cooper's like, hey, I don't think it's Ben. And Harry's like, it doesn't matter at this point. I've gone through all these methods to do. I have I have motive. I have all these things. I'm going to charge him. And Cooper's like, you're right. This is your neighborhood.
Yeah, but then Harry has like a look like he's second guessing it because Cooper's like, this is escalating. I'm just gonna let him have it. I think Harry realized like, yeah, maybe I should get some of Cooper's input on this.
Mm-hmm.
So he looks like he regrets it almost immediately when Cooper walks away.
Yes, and then we cut to Norma, Hank, Vivian, and Ernie. Yeah, we again. Who gives a shit? We learn, well, there's some things here. So yes, we learn that Hank was in jail with Ernie and all this stupid horse shit. Okay.
Yeah, Ernie met Vivian at a Republican fundraiser. He's just a con man, but he's trying to play. Actually trying to get his shit together here. I mean, he's just got some gambling issues we saw earlier.
Yes,
but overall, he's not. Hank is kind of pushing him back into the life of crime because Hank is a doofus.
Yes, and this is ultimately Hank's undoing. By the way, so as we'll find out later, this is ultimately what gets Hank his, is trying to put Ernie back in the shit. So, then we cut to Cooper, who is in his room and he's recording to Diane, and he's he's really close to figuring everything out. He can feel it. He gets a knock on the door. It's Audrey. Again, when these two are together, it's amazing.
There was no chemistry this time, though, man.
No.
This is like a couple going hot and heavy, and then they both realize there's a turd in the bed.
Yeah.
So it's just like both kind of grossed out at one another.
Yeah.
Who shit the bed here?
Yeah, I mean, and from her, there was, like, I felt there was from her some chemistry there, but there was absolutely none return, which is really weird, from Kyle MacLachlan on this one. And
I wonder why.
So, she's complaining about her father being ashamed of her. How, she wants to know that she was the reason why her father was arrested. And he gets a phone call. It interrupts them, and he tells her to go back to her room and lock the door. And the episode ends with Cooper arriving at the waterfall, and they found Maddie's bodies wrapped in plastic.
Yep. Yeah. It's I like. There's parts of both these episodes I like a lot, and then there's parts I just can't stand.
Yes.
But let's forge ahead because episode 9, Arbitrary Law, picks right up where episode 8 stops, and it's they're pulling Maddie out of the water. Mark Frost wrote this episode, or co-wrote it with 2 others.
Yep.
But the most important thing is Albert's back.
Albert's back, and we love Albert. Love Albert. And so it's Cooper, Albert, Truman, and Hawk walking in a line because we like lines.
Yep, that's how we all naturally walk in one giant line.
Yes. And Albert gives the forensic evidence to Cooper, saying that it's the same killer. They found the O. I think it was the O this time, right?
It's letter O. It's spelling Robert. So it's spelling Robert now.
Yes. They he's like, I need 24 hours to figure this out. And Albert says, how does he put it? He said, you go on a vision quest.
Yeah, stand on the cliff of volcano. You basically like get your vision quest shit in order, Cooper, because we need to solve this.
Yes. And he's like, we need to put this guy away. And he, Truman wants to tell Leland, and Cooper's like,
no, hold off.
And, which is interesting because something will come up later, which contradicts this. So we cut to Andy. He's sitting at the counter, and he's reciting the suicide note of Harold, the Jai un solitaire. And Donna and James happen to be walking by, and she's like, "Oh, you met Mrs. Tremont?" And he's like, "No, this is what Harold said." And for some dumb fuck reason, Donna now all of a sudden goes, "I need to talk to Cooper."
Yeah. So this leads me to think that Harold did have a lodge entity, and I believe it was a little boy with Mrs. Tremont.
It's possible that he had the little boy. Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think Mrs. Tremont was kind of like overseeing the house. I think they're those two because they're different from the Chalfonts. We have
Yes.
to let that. So we don't know much about Mrs. Tremont because this is like one of the only times we see her specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she and the child. I think the child inhabited Harold. That was the lodge entity we discussed before because it repeats the same line that Harold puts in his suicide note.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Chalfonts are. I believe the Chalfonts are more of the Black Lodge entity, and I think these two are either White Lodge or more sympathetic, like kind of like the Giant.
Were the Chalfonts Black Lodge, do you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're in the convenience store.
Mm, okay, fair point. Fair point.
They're in the
Yes.
convenience store with Bob the Arm, the
Yep.
Woodsman. Yeah. So
Now, are these
and they
different?
also gave Laura the painting.
They did give Laura the painting, but yes, they did give Laura the painting that allowed Bob.
So
Yes.
I think that they're doppelgangers maybe.
Oh, that's a good call. Okay.
That'd be the
Okay.
doppelgangers. But anyway, yeah. So I think the Chalfont or the Tremonts were protective of Harold, but Harold ultimately took his own life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the struggle we saw before with everything overturned might have been like not only just Harold, but maybe like the lodge entity trying to like prevent him from doing that. Like, whoa, let's calm down here, Harold, and he was having none of it.
Yeah, it's very, very possible. So, and I also think that this whole thing with Donna being the one, it gave a reason for Loyal Finn Boyle and to be on scene with fucking her boyfriend.
But let's also don't forget that James gives her a comically large ring.
Yes.
That does not fit her finger. And it's just like, James, just
stop.
fucking
Yes,
ride
but
a motorcycle off a cliff and just put us out of our misery with you. Like, come on.
Yeah, so James, in a weird way, proposes to Donna in this last episode.
I wrote in my note, don't take the ring, Donna.
Don't take the ring.
Don't take the ring.
And it's
we'll get into that next week with Firewalk with me.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will, because I'm so excited for that. So, she goes to Cooper and talks and is like, "Hey, this is what the little boy at Mrs. Tremont's house." And they go to knock on the door, and it's not the Tremont that she knows.
It's a completely different woman, which adds kind of like a spookiness, and I think plays into like Frost's writing and kind of there's an intuitiveness between Lynch and Frost where I think they complement each other, and I think obviously this is where this plot line was going, and I'm glad Mark was here to write this episode. Mm-hmm. I wish Lynch could have directed it, but he was out the door.
Yes.
I'll do my voiceover role when I need to. Leave me alone.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then Cooper mentions her name, Donna, and she's like, "Oh, Donna Hayward, I have this letter. I meant to turn it into you." And it's a page from one of the diaries. And it's the last page of the diary.
That we know of.
That we know of.
Because the return actually has an extra page that we don't know about.
Yes, correct. That was hidden for years.
Yeah, and so the page is interesting in that Laura wrote about the same dream Cooper had, except from her point of view.
Yes,
awesome. In which she revealed, she describes it perfectly. She doesn't say who kills her. But she talks about how it's difficult for her to speak, which the backward vocals. It's hard for her to describe things. And then like in the page, she also, Bob is only afraid of one man, and that is Mike.
Yes. And she thought Cooper was Mike.
Yeah, she thought Cooper was Mike.
Yep. And so
it's cool. I like how they kind of go full circle in that Cooper and Laura, not even knowing each other, have the same dream days, weeks apart. I like it. I think that's a cool concept. Again, concepts that probably could have carried over.
Concepts that could have carried over.
We get Ben Horn as a Confederate general.
Oh, God damn it. So, yeah, absolutely. And then Cooper goes to see Mike.
He doesn't take the diary page, though. Did you notice that? He just lets Donna keep it.
Yeah, he does let Donna keep it. Although I do also want to bring up the, February 23rd, today is the day that I die.
Yeah.
And so Laura was, and honestly, it's probably the one thing Jacoby was right as a psychiatrist on, that she was wanting to die and was ready to die.
Yeah.
So he visits Mike and he's like, I'm totally, at a loss here, but, me and Laura had the same dream and we dreamed about you. We dreamed about Bob. And Mike mentions the circle, the appetite. It was appetite and it was
satisfaction.
And it created a golden circle. And that's when he goes to Giant and he says, yes, he is known to us.
And I like how Mike and Bob both they never refer to themselves as I. It's always they and us, plural. Mm-hmm. And like Bob, it's more menacing because there's other entities at work aiding him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's a kind of a cool semantics thing. Like I like how Frost wrote that.
I do too. I like that a lot. And he basically hints to Cooper that the Giant needs to give him the answer.
Yeah, he can. You just have to ask him. You got to ask him for help, Cooper.
And as he leaves the room, he encounters the waiter, who he knows the Giant.
Senior Drool Cup,
who says that milk will go down on you, but it's getting warmer now. And
he also says, I know about you.
Yes, I know about you. So there's parts that are missing here, but I think at that point I think this is when Cooper divides that he was going to do everything at the Roadhouse.
Yeah.
And
because all the things are going because it's all set up. Ben called Laura the night there was a call from his office. Yep. The White Fox that we saw Leland kind of obsessing over earlier in this season.
Pulling the fur out of it.
Yeah, he's pulling the fur out of it to plant it on Maddie.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So there's a lot of things going on here.
Andy wants to talk about the kids. I don't give a shit.
Yep.
Mr. Tajimura, though.
Oh, Mr. Tajimura.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tajimura shows up to Ben at the prison and is like, you need to sign the papers. And Ben goes off on this, which is really cool because, as we've talked about, Lynch always goes back on ideas, right? He always comes back to things.
Yeah.
And there's a line in here where where Ben says, "This is the long dark night of my soul." And if you know anything about Lynch a little bit and know his musical work, he did an album with Sparkle Horse and Danger Mouse.
Yep.
Called Dark Night of the Soul.
Yeah.
And
it's not the only thing he'll recycle from this episode either. There's
one
throwaway line that becomes iconic and a major thing in part 8 of The Return. And it comes from the character I hate the most.
Ooh, I'm interested to hear this because I probably missed this part. So we'll get to that. But yeah, so he goes off on this long big thing and we get toe fetish again.
Yeah. Tarantino, guest director.
Guest director, Tarantino. So Tajimura pulls out her foot and reveals herself to be Ben, or to Catherine, and Ben starts licking and sucking on her toes. And she's like, if you sign over everything to me, I will tell them that you and I were together the night of Laura's murder. So he does, and she says, nope. Why should we start telling the truth now? Fuck you, Ben. Goodbye.
They've been lying their whole adult life. Why start now?
Right. So yeah, it's really actually quite good.
Yeah, I like the. I actually I like. It's odd that I like Catherine more in season 2 than I liked her in season 1, and I think I like it because she's getting such a revenge porn type vibe off of her, and she's Piper Laurie's playing right into it. And again, I love Piper Laurie, and I love how she plays this character. And uh, if it wasn't for the fact that the return was like already just kind of overstuffed with characters, that would have been like one character I would at least like to at least have an appearance. But I understand why they couldn't do it.
I understand why they couldn't do it, but it would have been really nice to see Piper Laurie. I completely agree with that. So then
now we get to the creepy Leland Donna scene.
Yes.
Where Bob is really just trying to get caught now.
Well, and like we talked about in a previous episode of this, I feel like Leland was going to, like Bob wanted to kill Donna.
Yeah. I believe so. Well, he does here.
Yeah, and I think it's smart that she doesn't drink the lemonade that he gives her. Because I think that would have been drugged.
Yeah, I think that would have been like the milk that he gives Sarah when he attacks.
Because it didn't look like any lemonade I've ever seen.
Yeah, no. No. But it's kind of an intense scene because he's like, all right, and he pops on the record player, and there's a scene where it's just Bob there replacing him screaming, and this kind of proves like what we were saying before. Maddie never saw Bob as Leland as Bob when she got killed, because this kind of hammers it home that we're seeing Bob's internal, like his kind of POV, but it's just like all Donna's seeing is Leland standing there like a weirdo.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but I wonder. I think it's the opposite. I think she saw Bob. I don't think she saw Leland because she had the visions. And again, Bob can only be seen by the gifted and the damned. And I think Bob would have gotten off on the fear. So I think she did see Bob the whole time. And I think because it was network television, we were given to see Leland.
Yeah, I'll disagree. I think they're just seeing Leland.
Okay. Fair enough.
Or it might have been Maddie saw Leland and Bob like how we saw it, which would probably be even more terrifying.
That would be more terrifying. That would be more terrifying.
God, because that's how in Fire Walk with Me how Laura sees it.
Mm-hmm.
In her final moments, is the plastic's being wrapped over her face. One moment it's Leland, the next moment it's Bob.
Oh God, yeah.
I think the more I think of it now, yeah, I think Maddie saw Bob and Leland, same as Laura. Laura saw Bob and Leland.
I think so. I do. I don't think like Teresa Banks would have, but I think Laura would have.
No, I think Teresa Banks was just cannon fodder.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I completely agree with that.
Basically what Donna would have been. So I think Donna's just seeing Leland here.
Mm-hmm.
Donna can't see
Bob. No, I can't think so. I don't think so either. So, but now the reason why she showed up, though, let's talk about this. The reason why she showed up to that was she wanted Leland to deliver a tape of the song that she, James, and Maddie recorded. The song shows up yet again.
I think this is why Bob wanted to kill her. That song being in his house. I don't blame him.
It ain't Steppenwolf.
Home. What the hell's wrong with you?
Oh God. So
that probably is what set Bob off.
So
he heard that song.
He heard that song, and that's when Leland was like, "I can't take it." Bob came in and was like, "I'll kill them all." Yeah. Then he grabs her, brings her in, and we think Donna's gonna die.
Yeah, because he's waiting for the stylus on the turntable to get to the end of the record and just play back and forth that click.
Yep.
Because that's when that's the music Bob likes to rape and murder to.
Is the click. So, but there's a knock on the door, and first, no, doesn't he get a phone call?
He gets a phone call from Maddie's mom. she never made it to Montana. And then Leland popped some gum in,
Yep.
which is foreshadowing to that gum you like is going to come back into style.
Correct. I caught that as well. Yep.
And then
Then
he's dancing with Donna again, and then there's a knock on the door, and he's very menacing. And this is where like kind of the menacing comes back with Ray Wise, in that he's like he commands her, "Don't go anywhere."
Yep. Yes.
And it's Harry, like, we need you down at the Roadhouse.
Yes, that's right. And he's like, "Hey, I need you to come here. I need you to do this. I need, yeah. Don't ask how."
There's been another murder, and he says there's been another murder, and Donna puts 2 and 2 together.
Yes.
And all right, let's break. She breaks the news to James next.
Oh God.
So James hears this and he commits suicide, and we never hear from him again.
Thank God. Thank God. No. So
he kills himself. He drives off a cliff. We don't ever hear any more James stories, and then he miraculously shows up in the return.
So, what actually happened was no. That was a Clue reference. So, so Donna starts walking down a road, and
I think Donna's terrified by what she just experienced with Leland, because Leland, he embraces her like violently. Mm-hmm. So I think Donna has an idea of how Maddie kicked the bucket.
I think so as well.
I mean, I don't think she can be like, I know this is how Maddie died, but I think she's like, is that how Maddie died? Like,
I think there is something.
This guy's fucking nuts.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
She's crying. Right. She's crying, and she looks crying. It's not just like realizing a friend they've known for like 2 days is dead.
Yeah.
I think it's more like she looks like she's had a trauma.
Yep, and then James pulls up, and they have the most awkward conversation. The writing's terrible. James gets on his motorcycle and leaves. Fuck, the start happens here. Oh.
Yeah.
So
too bad Mike Cannon can't work for this podcast where James kills himself and we never see him again until the return, and he just faked his death or something. I don't know. But we got it. But now we're at the Roadhouse because this is the bread and butter of this episode.
Yes.
So Ben is snacking on peanuts. Cracking wise. I love it. He's just a cocky son of a bitch, even though he knows he can very likely spend the rest of his life in prison.
Yep, he's just surly and angry.
And there's lightning going off, which is like, adding to the spook element here.
Mm-hmm.
Big Ed shows up to help clear the room for Cooper. Leo's wheeled in by Bobby.
Who tells Hawk to give himself a raise.
Major Briggs
shows up
with Senior Drool Cup.
Yep.
He said he found him. He was like hitching his way from the Northern because he wanted to be at the Roadhouse. Because the Giant is his lodge entity in him.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, because we see Senior Drool Cup in the Black Lodge. I'm not going to pretend to understand that. There's so much. There's things we just will never know.
But there's a lot of things that it's because there's a lot of people writing. I think it's really what it is.
And Senior Drool Cup hands Cooper a stick of gum. Leland says it, and he says,
"That was my favoriteest gum as a child."
And Senior Drool Cup, that favorite gum of yours is coming back into style.
And then everything freezes.
Yes. Cooper remembers what Laura says in the dream.
Mm-hmm.
My father killed me. The Giant appears with the ring, drops it at Leland's feet. Cooper now knows, and he has to figure out what his next step is. And it's a complicated plan but I guess since they don't know exactly what they're dealing with, I'm not going to behoove them.
here's
he has the trick getting Leland there. So he's like, well, Ben Horn, you're under arrest for the murder of Laura Palmer.
You might want to bring Leland Palmer as your attorney. Now,
which is I laughed at that.
Yes. Which is the worst idea of all time. Like this just goes back to some of that writing where I go, man, you guys were rushed.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a better way to get Leland there. And I think it would have been like, Leland, we need you there. Come with us to make a statement.
Yes, exactly.
Something like that.
Exactly.
But, I mean, we have 25, 30 years of hindsight for us to rewrite this. So
that's exactly where my head went.
So writers, why aren't you as better than we are 30 years of 30
years of hindsight, right? Right. You guys got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to write this. Yes, because I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. But yes, I also struggle with this, and that was also the idea I came down to was, Ben Horn, you're on the arrest for the murder of Laura Palmer. Leland, we are going to need you. We need to take a statement, and we need to get some information from you tonight, so we can start expediting this to get this done.
Which would have been probably more believable.
Which would have been more believable.
But yeah, so they get there, and Harry's all about it, and they're leading Ben to the jail cell, and then they do the old
switcheroo.
The switcheroo, and they throw Leland in there, and he freaks the fuck out. Bob is like a trapped animal now.
Mm-hmm. Woo, woo, woo. He starts Ric Flair wooing.
Woo! If you would have did the Ric Flair dance, I would have appreciated it. I don't care.
Yes.
Just the finger shotgun thing.
It would have been amazing to see him do the Ric Flair stunt, because that's all I could think of while he was ruined was Ric Flair, and as he's running into stuff, I was like, it just reminded me of Ric Flair running back and forth between the ropes.
And they get him to confess, and he's pretty cavalier about it. And he says something like, Leland is a babe in the woods, a large hole where his conscience used to be, and he's going to rip like a ripcord. He's going to make the memories all come flooding back. Like,
yes.
Basically, he's like, I'm going to just ruin this guy's life before he dies. And now we're going to get to the part where there's a throwaway line from Dick Tremaine.
What is Dick
They're doing the Andy, Dick, Lucy bullshit. And I only bring it up because what sets off the events of Bob killing Leland is Dick Tremaine going, got a light. Which goes back.
Oh, shit.
What the Woodsman says in the return and
yes,
part 8, nonstop, got a light. And as soon as that word is uttered, people start dying. And Judy inhabits, puts a whatever into Sarah Palmer. So yeah, that's a throwaway line that ends up becoming a huge part of the return.
Yes.
It sets off sets off the sprinklers. His smoke, after he got a light and he lights a cigarette, it sets off the sprinklers, which causes Bob to kill Leland.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to back up a little bit here because we really rushed through this. There's a couple of things that occur when they're interrogating Bob, right? So they get him in there, and even Ben Horn goes, Leland,
Yeah.
And Hawk says that's not Leland. So Hawk immediately knows.
Hawk knows about the lodges, though. He brings it up later in the season. He knows about the White Lodge and Black. He knows that this is not Leland. This is Bob.
Yep.
Bob also brings up like a big thing that happens with Cooper in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Which, he drops the ball, ends up getting a witness killed because he became emotionally involved with her, and he got shot, I believe, during that situation.
He was stabbed.
Stabbed by Wyndham Earl.
Yes, stabbed by Wyndham Earl. So, and this is a couple of things here. So they ask, did you kill Laura Palmer? And he goes, woo, 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 woo. That's a yes. And then they're like, did you kill Maddie? What do you think? Why don't you tell me? Gee, I don't know. Golly, gee, maybe, yeah, I think I might have killed her. I think, she had a problem with knives, just like that time with you in Pittsburgh, huh, Coop? So it goes to show that Bob knows things that other people don't. And, so, and then he's chanting the firewalk with me. They precursored all the sprinkler stuff earlier, because in an unrelated or a throwaway scene, a guy in the very beginning of the episode is working on the sprinklers.
Yep.
And then he forces Leland to commit suicide by ramming his skull over and over into the fucking prison door.
Yes. And then Bob escapes.
Mm-hmm.
And Leland's memories all come flooding back, and it's heartbreaking. Like, this is, you really feel for the guy at this, because he had no idea any of this was happening. He realized he's not only killed his daughter, he's raped and killed his daughter. And he was sexually abusing her whole life.
And, he's like, I loved her, and oh my God, what did I do? And Bob makes him remember everything.
And this is where Leland's bringing up in plurals. They wanted Laura, and she would not let them in.
Yes.
And more than one. It's not just Bob, in a sense. It just keeps pluralizing, and like Laura wouldn't let them in, and so they killed her for that.
Mm-hmm. And it is rough. And Cooper, it's a very comforting scene, very heartbreaking scene. And he basically tells Leland to go to the light, and Leland sees Laura, and those are his last words: "Is Laura?" And he shakes and dies.
Yep.
Really well done. Again, it's the end of Ray Wise for these two seasons. He comes back for a little bit.
He's a little bit in the finale too.
He's a little bit in the finale, but
he's big in Fire Walk with Me.
Yes.
He's one of the essential. So we'll be talking about him next week still.
Yes, but I will say that Ray Wise, once again, is such an underappreciated actor.
Yeah, he is fantastic. And I think, especially with the ending of this episode shows just how, we saw him hamming it up earlier, and I love it because I love Ray Wise when he does that. But he has the chops to do some serious stuff.
Yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's amazing to me that he wasn't given more of the credence he deserved as an actor in the course of it, because he is just phenomenal. So the episode ends with Cooper, Albert, Truman, and Major Briggs, who is now going to become a major character, walking and discussing Leland's possession.
And Harry's having trouble. He's like, Leland was just crazy. And like Cooper's like, do you feel better knowing that Leland raped and murdered his own daughter? And Harry's like, not really.
Right. Yeah, that was something that really, that line too, like that conversation was like, hey, I'm having a hard time grasping at what we just saw. And he's like, is it easier for you to understand that a father would rape and kill his own daughter?
Yeah. And then, it's a cool scene. And then another part 8 of the return comes from a discarded line of Albert's. Maybe Bob is the evil that men do. Maybe Bob is the evil that men do.
And that is, at first glance, that's not that deep of a statement. But when you analyze it,
and you see where Bob comes from, White Sands nuke explosion, the A-bomb.
Yep.
Birth of the A-bomb gave birth to that's the ultimate evil that men could have done.
Yes. And now in rereading, and I've been rereading the Secret History of Twin Peaks. So as you have too. The evil goes back even farther than that.
Yeah.
But that was, I don't know if it was the birth or if it was the release of Bob, right?
I think that was the birth. I think the evil in the woods existed, but I think that the bomb
created. You think
that through Judy, because it's Judy's child is Bob.
Yes.
And she birthed him via the most evil thing men could have ever done was creating a bomb that could destroy all life on Earth 10 times over.
Mm-hmm. And I do think that's key in that the lodges get power or birth or come about through people's actions.
Yeah. And I mean, just because the A-bomb is where Bob was created doesn't mean there wasn't evil lodge entities before that. Mm-hmm. This instance created Bob. We still have a whole bunch of we got the woodsmen. We don't know where they come from. We got the jumping man, who's my particular favorite of the lodge entities because it's just a weird fucking guy.
Fucking creep. Yeah.
Yeah, you got the woodsman, you got the Chalfonts. So Bob's just part of an entourage, and the arm is Mike's arm.
And yes, so then they end with, where is Bob now?
Looking for a new host.
And it cuts to the owl.
Yeah, I think this is where Bob. He materializes an owl, and we see it because he keeps an eye. It's almost he becomes like the guide, the leading Wyndham Earl to Twin Peaks.
So,
which they could have done a lot better.
Okay, so this is what I wanted to bring up, right? Because at this point, let's be honest. After this episode, everything goes downhill.
Oh yeah, right away.
Things are gonna go downhill after this episode, and we're gonna take a break from the TV show, as we've already discussed. And next episode is gonna be
man.
Yeah, we're gonna dig into Fire Walk with Me, but there are things here that could have happened that could have gone well.
Yeah.
First of all, the stupid thing with James and Donna. You know what? There's a million things they could have done better with that. And, again, we understand why and behind the scenes what was going on. We've talked about it episode after episode, I think, several times. But,
we're beating that dead horse like Leland's beating Maddie.
Rough, dude. But yeah, it's I would have, instead of having James kind of run off and do these type of things, I would have left him around. I would have made him more part of the Bookhouse type of style, kind of done that line of with it. And the whole thing, they should have ended the fucking Dick Tremaine, the baby thing, with just them going, you know what, it doesn't matter. I'm with Andy. Andy's the father. Get the fuck out of here, Dick Tremaine, and be done.
Yeah.
The thing with Hank and Ernie does actually go somewhere.
Yeah.
It does actually.
Not entirely thrilling, but yeah, it goes somewhere.
It's not entirely thrilling, but it does. What's the word I'm looking for here? It does have resolution to a plot line. It does.
Yeah. The thing is, it relies too heavily on the soap opera elements, and instead they're lost at sea for like way too many episodes where they're slow to bring in Wyndham Earl for some reason, but they're just giving us all the soap opera aspects that it's nice in small doses, but I really don't give a shit, and it doesn't keep me glued.
Mm-hmm.
In a sense, like I don't care about Hank. I don't care about Norma's mom being CM Wentz.
No.
I,
But it does eventually lead to the to the resolution of Jean Renault.
Yeah, Renault.
It does lead to the Renault, which is, which has been something that's been going on for the entire thing. So there is a point to that, right?
Yeah.
What I would have liked to see happen is, instead of it going to the Owls, even though, we went to the Owl, I would like to have seen Bob go into Wyndham Earl right away.
I don't think Bob was ever in Wyndham Earl, though.
No, Bob was never in Wyndham Earl.
Here's the thing. He needs a host, and I think it's a life sentence when he's in a host. Not his life sentence. He's there until that host is nearly dead or whatever. He needs them till the end. I don't think he can just jump into Wyndham Earl and bring him to Twin Peaks. I think he had to, leave him crumbs to leave, because that's basically what Bob eventually does, is leaving crumbs and all that for Earl to discover the lodges at the same time Cooper is.
Well, he does, but at the same time, I mean, we already know Wyndham Earl's on his way to Twin Peaks, right? And
we know he's escaped.
We know he's escaped.
Don't know how he knows where Cooper is.
Well, no, because he sent the letter, and so I mean, I'm gonna knowing what we know about Wyndham Earl, we know Wyndham Earl's fucking smart and would have been able to find Cooper. I would have liked to have seen that, because as Wyndham Earl becomes the main antagonist, it would have been interesting to see Bob, also be staying as the antagonist as well, instead of being a separate antagonist, and Bob kind of getting pushed to the background as he is for the rest of the fucking season, except for fucking
the finale.
Except for the finale, except for one other piece, which is so fucking dumb.
Yeah.
There were things here that still could have worked. That still could have.
They use the micro tape that Bobby has of Leo and Ben could have been used. I don't know why they shit the bed with that one. It becomes just a throwaway. You know what I mean? Ben's not really intimidated by Bobby. Bobby just is broad as daylight. We'll get to it when we glance over the nonstop bullshittery of season 2.
Yep. Yeah, it's just, there were things there that could have been awesome.
And the big complaint, though, is they needed to get Wyndham Earl there faster than they did.
Yeah.
There's like a string of maybe 4 or 5 episodes where there's no antagonist.
Yeah, and it's just floundering, and they didn't know what to do. And it was rough. It was rough.
But yeah, there's a lot of things like this. The first 7, and then the last 2 episodes does give creates things that they could have done so well, and they just didn't. It's quite disheartening in a sense. I mean, they just didn't know what to do with the characters.
Yeah. They didn't know what to do with the characters, and ultimately, again, we are lucky because we have hindsight. We have years of being able to sit back and kind of look at these things, and it's they did. I feel like, as you and I have talked about this and have gone through these things, Frost and Lynch left a lot of things there that could have made the show still interesting.
Yeah, there's the documentary on the entire mystery Blu-ray said Frost is, when they kind of ask him about it, he's like, well, we left them a game plan. They just didn't really utilize it well. They didn't leave them empty-handed. That was I think a lot of people would criticize Lynch and Frost for when they essentially walked away, because they were pretty much on hand. Even if they weren't writing and directing, they're still a presence on the set, and their presence disappears. And Frost was like, yeah, we left them like, ideas of where they could take it or what they could be doing before that, and they just didn't really utilize any of that.
No, and it really feels that way because there's things there that I mean, Bob. I mean, it should have become the search for Bob.
Oh, absolutely.
Is really where my head goes this entire time. It should have been the search for Bob.
And it would have been cool if this turned into like a Blue Rose situation where you have Albert and Cooper and Gordon, and who knows, maybe that's what they were going to go with after the reveal, or if they did it like they did and not forced Lynch and Frost to do it prematurely, maybe you would have been able to keep Lynch. Lynch still comes back as Gordon Cole, but it's usually just over the phone until like the very last episode.
Yes. Yeah, I think there was things there that they could have ran with because now it becomes a search for Bob in my mind. Like that's where I thought this was going. And again, it's depressing because I like to think in an alternate timeline. There's a world, there's a universe out there where Frost and Lynch got to do the Twin Peaks they wanted to do, and we will never be able to see it because we're in a shitty timeline. But yeah, I think that it was it's unfortunate that this would be the highlight or the really where the show should have ended.
Yeah, I mean,
or at least the season.
Because if you cut the season end at this point, it has issues. It's still it's a fine season of Twin Peaks, but they pad it out with these episodes because everything up to the finale doesn't really, except for like little character developments or whatever, it doesn't really add to the story. I mean, I just don't care like what James does, and like Donna, like honestly, I have no memory of what happens to Donna between now and the finale, besides she gets roped into like Wyndham Earle's like little game of card queens or whatever. I just don't care about the character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't care about the character either. It's difficult. It sucks. So, point is that this is about God. They really fucked it up, and the reception of this one, just to kind of give you an idea, this episode was only watched by 12.4 million households, which represented a 15%. And 7.9% of all households in the country, which was a major decline from the reveal episode, which had 17.2 million viewers. They lost 5 million viewers in 3 episodes, or really in 2 episodes. The reception to it, has been positive. I mean, as we've talked about it, people felt it was rushed.
We felt that it was rushed.
We felt that was very rushed. And, someone, at the Keith Phipps of the AV Club said that, well, I fully accept Twin Peaks wants us to buy into the woodsy, mystical mythology of good and evil. I like that Wise plays it as if it might have been in his head to the end, but stated that the final scene was clumsy. I disagree with that.
There's too much evidence to say it was all in his head. There's so much evidence against that theory.
There's too much evidence.
Considering Cooper and Laura had the same dream. Yeah. No, this was...
I don't feel like Wise played it at all like it was in his head. I thought it was very apparent that it wasn't Ray Wise.
Yeah, because once Bob's gone, then we see Leland. I don't agree with that at all.
Yes.
But that wouldn't be the first time I said fuck the AV Club, so...
Well, it wouldn't be the first time I've said fuck the AV Club as well. So, I just had a complete loss because I come from this because I still, as I was watching this, I was optimistic, and then I know what's coming, and that hurts.
Yeah, but I
That
mean,
it
it's
hurts.
yeah, yeah, and we'll shit on it. There's not a lot of highlights. That's why we're doing it in two large clumps.
Yeah.
Neither Paul and I are exactly thrilled to watch it. We love Twin Peaks, but we don't love everything about Twin Peaks, and uh, I have fandoms of things. I don't love everything I'm a fan of.
Me too.
You
Yep.
know,
I
I
am
love the
100%.
Beatles. They have songs I don't give a shit about, or I actively
Absolutely.
don't like. Obla D, Obla Da can go fuck itself.
I hate that song.
It's art. Like so. Yeah, it takes a nosedive, and as much as I love the return, there's a lot of shit that I'm gonna nitpick on that because
Hmm.
that also feels bloated, but it feels like in the opposite direction of season 2 at times. Like,
Yes. Yeah. I mean, let's be fair. Most people will call the return pure Lynch into the veins. It's Lynch heroin. We're getting OD'd on Lynch.
yeah,
And I don't mind it. I love it, but I don't have to love everything about it.
yeah. I'll be the first to admit there's too much Dougie. We'll get to it when we get to
We'll get to it. So next up is so it's broken down in the episodes. Well, obviously next podcast we will be doing the return and missing pieces.
No, we'll be doing next episode. We're doing Firewalk.
Oh, sorry, Firewalk with Me and Missing Pieces.
Yeah.
And then I think we're going to break it down because then we got episode 17. I think we'll do episode 17 through 22 and then 23 through 29. Or we'll figure that out.
Yeah, because we'll do the Beyond Life and Death as its own.
Yeah, we'll do Beyond.
I think it's an hour and a half long too. It's like the finale was a long episode.
Yes. And then, yeah. So
I'll
30.
still say it's in my top 3 favorite episodes of Twin Peaks. It's probably like pilot, that episode, and then episode 3 with Cooper's Dream. I just love the Black Lodge stuff, the Red Room stuff.
Absolutely. I completely agree. It's up there. I mean, it is a great episode. It really is. So yeah, I think we'll kind of break it down into that regards, and there's going to be a lot of just, God damn it, to it.
Because maybe we'll find some other elements we can talk about besides that, just so we'll want to talk about Twin Peaks. That we'll come up with some themes that we'll go over, themes from the show. There's a lot of things we kind of gloss over because we're doing an episode. We can talk about some themes too,
and I think we'll get into the themes, some more of the interpretations.
Yeah.
More into the meanings. I think it would be a lot easier for us to do that in these episodes.
Yeah. Elements I like to talk about, like music.
Mm-hmm.
Especially how the music impact. Yes, there's a lot of things we'll talk about. It's not going to be us just shitting on James, even though he fucking deserves it. He deserves goddamn critique.
He deserves it, but there's
no buts, man. No buts.
Well, there's a but there, but yeah, and we'll get into that, won't we? So plugs, sir. You go ahead and plug for you.
Yeah, we are now at the end of Fast and Furious month. Sunday, we're doing Fast 8. It's been the most confusing roller coaster of emotions since I watched. Look, this whole month has been me watching Twin Peaks and Fast and Furious movies. 2 projects that couldn't be any further apart in tone and artistic vision. One's just dumb action movie that started off as Street Racers, and Twin Peaks is something I love. I love them both, but I'm an enigma like that, I guess. So yeah, we'll be wrapping Fast and Furious month on Sunday. What do you have coming up, Paul?
So we will be coming up. Will be the latest episode of Cast That Movie, which will be Jingle All the Way. and the Theranos story. Follow up from that, we're going to be doing, we'll preface it as well, so I'll give you guys a sneak peek for listening to this one. Will be the Street Fighter the movie, which is something you guys did on the Joedown.
Yep, we did both those movies, actually. We did Jingle All the Way and Street Fighter.
Well, shit.
Yeah, no, it's
coming full circle here.
Oh my God. Yeah. Tell me, you guys getting some fucking Brian Dennehy in your reviews or what?
Oh, no, I'm actually, you know what, I think I liked a lot of the casting for that movie, for the Jingle All the Way and the Theranos story. I think you will be we pulled both Joe and myself pulled some really good casts on that one. So check that out. Everything now, by the way, is on YouTube. This show and Cast That Movie are on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and iTunes, and the Joedown.blog. So there is no reason why, if you want to listen to it any way you want to, you can listen to it.
Nice.
Yes.
No, I like having I use Spotify on my phone, so that's be nice to be. I've already subscribed to your guys' Cast That Movie on there, so me and the others, we're gonna be listening to every word.
Yay!
Got Paul. Actually, whenever I catch a mistake on Paul's thing, I immediately, when I get home, I message him, and he's just like, "Oh fuck."
Yes. Yeah, I do that.
We do too. Nobody's called us out on the Twin Peaks one yet.
No, nobody has yet, and I'm hoping that they do at some point, or at least bring in other things. Yeah, and I'll let you in on a little secret. There might be another podcast that might be joining the Joedown.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yes, there might be another podcast joining the Joedown at some point. That might be in the works. That's all I'm going to say about it right now.
Excellent. I am pumped.
So, do you want to take us out, Joe?
Yes. That podcast you love is coming back into style.